Impact segment tonight. Michael Moore keeps the attacks going on American Sniper, both the movie and the man, the late Chris Kyle. Now Moore is bringing in Jesus. Some background. Under the late Pope John Paul II, the Vatican objected to U.S. and coalition forces invading Iraq to remove Saddam Hussein. The Vatican foreign minister, Archbishop Jean-Louis Tauran, calling the invasion a, quote, crime against peace. Moore has latched on to that, tweeting the following: Jesus wouldn't put any soldiers' lives in harm's way in the first place because he wouldn't have sent them. But what would Jesus do if he could be a sniper and save soldiers' lives by shooting savages, that's Moore in quotes, in the back? Oh, I know what he'd do: hide on the top of a roof and shoot people in the back, end quote. Pretty vicious. Joining us now from Washington, Raymond Arroyo, managing editor and anchor of the Eternal World Television Network. So, what are your thoughts about Mr. Moore bringing Jesus into this debate?
You know, Bill, Jesus has no place in this debate, okay? I mean, I think if Jesus were commenting on it, I hardly think he would be defaming a good soldier who went out to defend his country and defend innocent people in a foreign land at the risk of his own life. I don't think he'd be doing that. Furthermore, I think once Mr. Moore brings in Jesus, he tries to make the point here. He's trying to wage an old battle. Michael Moore's still interested in litigating the Iraq War. That's not what this is about. This film is about what everyday soldiers bring back with them, the wounds they carry with them from war. And we should all be thankful for their willingness to take these wounds, physical and otherwise, and then carry them back to the home.
And I think it was very cheap,
using their faith.
It was very cheap to run down Chris Kyle by using Jesus, and I think Jesus is appalled at that. That's just my opinion.
Well, you wrote about him, you'd know.
The Vatican and the Catholic Church are on Moore's side about the Iraq War. That's a fact. However, the individual participants in the war on the coalition and American side were not condemned by the Vatican. In fact, there is the doctrine of just war. Explain that.
Well, the just war is simply a list of conditions that a party must meet to be considered, for a conflict to be considered a just war. But let me back up for a moment. Though the Pope at the time, John Paul II, was opposed to this particular invasion into Iraq. And look, Bill, there were a lot of people who were opposed on both sides of the aisle. Pat Buchanan on the right and Bob Novak, and then you had others on the left. But the fact is, it is up to the authority to make the judgment. The Pope is not the global minister of war. The Church teaches it's up to the authorities who have information that no one else has, not even the public, not even the Pope. It's up to them to make those calls. Appropriate authority made this decision, including our current Secretary of State, John Kerry, and others.
Congress made the decision as well. It was put before Congress. But I'm interested in Moore is attacking the late Chris Kyle's morality. He's saying he was an immoral man for shooting and killing the enemy. All right, the enemy were trying to kill Americans, and we were over there, and Moore sees it as these guys were freedom fighters, and if you see the movie, you know, savages doesn't even come close to what these guys were doing, Al-Qaeda in Mesopotamia and the Ba'athists. But I am a little bit sorry, I think that's the word, that the Catholic Church hasn't defined it clearer, in a more clear way.
You mean the just war theory clearer?
Yes.
Here's what, this is basically the just war theory. And again, this is a thumbnail. You have to have a grave and present threat. The use of force has to not bring on a greater evil than you're trying to combat. And, you know, this is the basic parameter. But again, Bill, why is Michael Moore trying to blame a soldier, a single soldier, for a policy? His war, his battle, Michael Moore's that is with George Bush and members of Congress who voted for this incursion.
But Moore makes
not for the men and women who are fighting every day.
He believes that anybody who participated in that is immoral, and especially a guy like Kyle, who is proud of what he did over there, and that just rankles more.
And we should all be proud of them, and Chris Kyle.
All right, Mr. Arroyo, thank you very much. Directly ahead, the